If you've been wondering how you can make alternative income using real estate, you are at the right place and welcome. And my good friend, if we are meeting for the very first time, well, I am the founder here at the TJ Tribe, and I have been doing this business myself of buying real estate, particularly to rent out to families, to student accommodation, and also I do what we call flips. Our weekend videos, which are generally a little bit longer, are full of real life teachings of recent projects done with people like me and you, and we do this so that you can be able to learn from them. So I'm excited that in today's video, lean in. Yep, I do say that because it's full of value in it. So if you have to replay, my good friends, please do that. And above that, if you have any questions, whatever questions that you might have, there's no question here at the TJ Tribe that is dumb, or don't be shy to add in a question in the comments below. Please ask your questions, and together we can be able to learn. And that's what the TJ Tribe is all about. Iron sharpening iron from wherever you are, right here at the TJ Tribe. My friend, let's go. He is Johannesburg based. However, he invests heavily in Fabeja. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. But anyway, you guys can correct me. I've been struggling to pronounce that name. And he is born in Port Elizabeth. You can see I've changed name. It's like me. I'm born in Salisbury, but I was raised in Harare. There's a difference there, ne? Huh? Right. Okay. Good. So Grant, he's going to take us through, I think, a strategy that is very new, very, very new. And I think a lot of us, we can have a very strong reward around it, because I've been checking out some deals within the last year of what he's going to be sharing with us. There's lots of gold around that, and not many people have woken up to the idea. I think a lot of people are waking up to the idea of student accommodation within the last year and a half. But as we go into grants, have an open mind and think about specific areas.
Morning, TJ. Morning, rest of the tribe.
Grant, how long have we known each other? How long have you been plugged on here?
Personally, I met you in 2023. I think
right.
End of 2020. Yeah, it was early 2023.
Right.
That one. Okay, everyone. I've been tasked to talk about TVET colleges today, which is, like TJ mentioned, something new. I think a lot of people are not seeing the opportunity in TVET colleges yet. And hopefully after this presentation, I would have opened your minds to, like I say, a sleeping opportunity. But at this point, I want to say it's not financial advice. Please do your own homework on this one. Just the agenda for the day, do a short introduction. I'm going to ramble some stats on student accommodation, then speak to the main details. And then if we have the time, I'll go into the marketing video and just a bit of a system review. I'm not sure if all of you have come in contact with the new NSFAS pilot. That's just to pad up the presentation should we have time available. So yeah, let's get going. So I'm Grant. I'm turned 40 this year. I work in the finance industry. I have an 8-year-old son, which is in grade 2. Like you see on my t-shirt, I'm a proud Man United fan. My passion is property. And then I also do invest in some crypto assets. I do have a recruitment agency that I'm a shareholder in as well. And this is recent. I don't even think TJ is aware of me having a little pop shop at the moment. This is something that I've come to enjoy. I went to the auction a couple of times to buy furniture for the student accommodations, and while I was there, I just picked up a few items and started selling it. And it's not a big money spinner, but it's an exciting little venture that I have. Then affirmation, I am retiring on the 3rd of June 2029. If I don't retire from my current employment by then, I would have failed in my plans and the execution of my plans. Right, let's jump into the presentation. The information I'm about to share is slightly outdated, but it's the most comprehensive report I could find online. It's from the World Bank, and it speaks about student accommodation. The report was written in 2020, 2021, so it is slightly outdated, but the gist of it you'll get. As you can see from the report, at the time there was 26 formal universities and 50 technical and vocational educational and training colleges. That short acronym is TVET. And the reason why we have so many of them here is that South Africa is probably still number one in the continent of Africa when it comes to formal education. So not only is it our South Africans, but across Africa, we do take in a lot of students. It is estimated that there's 2.5 million students enrolled across all these various technicons and universities. That's in 2020. So that number would have increased. They projected here that for TVET on its own, they see enrollments of plus 1 million by 2023. Some of the demand drivers for post-education is just the growing segment of youth in South Africa. And the key thing is that the government is funding a whole lot of these students via the NSFAS program. So it has now become affordable for previously disadvantaged, or students whose families earn less than 350,000, which is probably the majority of South Africa, to now get formal education via the NSFAS platform. Okay, so what is a TVET college? Traditionally, when we think about student accommodation, we immediately consider the university as an option. But there's other programs that government has introduced over many decades, of which the TVET college is one of them. Like I said, the abbreviation stands for Technical and Vocational Education and Training. There's around 50 of them, according to that report. It's probably more at this stage. And they kind of focus on providing hands-on training and practical skills, where a university would focus on theoretical studies in most cases. Also, a key differentiator here is universities tend to have 3 or 4 year programs, where TVETs go from 3 months to 6 months to 3 years in their various programs that they offer. Just like a few key differences, like I said, university offer degrees, which take a minimum of 3 or 4 years. They have very stringent requirements to get into university. You have to have a national senior certificate, the matric certificate, with very good marks to get in. University courses is very theoretical. And then at the end, you would be served with a degree and you continue to honors and master's degrees. TVET is very different. I think way back when government realized that not everybody fits into this bubble. Not everybody has that marks, but they might be good with their hands. So they created these TVET colleges and technical colleges in the past. So technical colleges, they provide training that varies from a few months to 3 years. The entry requirements is way less restrictive, so opening it up to a lot of more students. They focus on training students to do technical work a lot and in the vocational field, so you can get the hairdressing certificate from them, for instance. And it can also enable you to get into a university of technology if you have this diploma that they give you at the end of your course. And yeah, they're not only focusing on the academics or the theory, they focus on practical experience. Now, to speak about the opportunity and why I believe that there's huge scope in the TVET market. Okay. Student accommodation for TVETs. So what you generally found in the past is students receive their allowances, which included resin food, only at about 2,500. NSFAS paid that directly to the students, and they would rent and have to fend for themselves on the 2,500 alone. Students were forced to rent in unsafe areas. A whole lot of them rented shacks. But then one fundamental change came in 2023 when NSFAS was seeing the issue that they needed to take control of the supply of student accommodation in South Africa. So up until 2023, student accommodation was primarily run by the universities. They made up their own rules, their own regulations. You had to apply to them to be a student accommodation provider. And there was nothing formal for TVET colleges. It was literally you take them in, and general rental was between 1,500 and 2,000 per month. And you saw a huge drop off and a huge vacancy numbers because the students just could not afford to do this. But with the NSFAS pilot, where they said they are now going to take over the complete supply, I mean, everything they take over, and they will be making student payments as well. So just some of the key changes that this pilot has brought. And 2024 was the first year that they started with this. NSFAS equaled the accommodation allowance for university and for TVET. Now, this is a game changer on its own. You go from 2,500 to what a university student and a TVET student is now seen as the same when it comes to accommodation allowance. This meaning that if you supplied the university in the past and the TVET college is also close to the university, you can now take in a TVET students with no drop in your monthly revenues. Landlords, NSFAS pays us directly. I'll get to NSFAS as a separate point as to whether they are doing it or not. But you are now no longer at the mercy of the institution itself. So you don't have to work via the TVET college or the university to get your payments. They now pay us directly. And they've brought in, but it's specific to the Western Cape and Eastern Cape. There are some other pilots running in South Africa currently as well. My focus is on the Eastern Cape, obviously, because I invest in PE or Kebega, for like, never actually used that word. I still use PE. So I can speak to the pilot that's currently running there. And then another big change is what they are trying to achieve as NSFAS is that all accommodation providers across South Africa has one set of rules, not pots where you have to put up backup water, but in PE is not required. As one set of rules for all universities or any accommodation provider needs to work on one set of rules across South Africa, which is also, I believe, a game changer because my experience with the Nelson Mandela University down there is that they make up the rules as they want to. And I've always felt that they feel like they're doing you a favor, it's not you providing a service to them. So now I'm not to ask anyone for their ages, but I'm sure a whole lot of us on this call would recall that there used to be a thing called Vista University. It was all over South Africa. And it was what the apartheid government put down for blacks back then to have a tertiary education. They are no longer in existence. They used to fall under the UNISA umbrella. And the positioning of these universities across South Africa was always somewhere in the location where it's close enough for the colored township, Indian township, as well as the black township to access these universities. So they were all strategically put there, and they all provided tertiary education way back when. I think it stopped in 2000 and around about 2000, 2001. Now the reason why I bring up this as part of my presentation, if you had to think of Soweto, where the UJ campus is currently in Soweto, that was a Vista University campus. If you had to go back all those years, there was no formal accommodation being provided. It was people here and there, and most people used to travel with taxis to Vista University. Now you fast forward to where we find ourselves today. You would pay almost the same amount of money next to that university for a property where you're running student accommodation from, like you would do next to UJ. The values has just quadrupled over the years, specifically because this is now a UJ campus. The same in Pretoria, the University of Pretoria's Mamelodi campus used to be a Vista campus. And the reason why I'm bringing up this story is up until 2023, when TVETs were kind of seen as the stepchild of student accommodation, it is now on an equal footing with the university. Yet there are no formal accommodations in these areas. Some areas would have it, especially if it's in the CBD. But what I'm trying to bring across here is that the same thing that UJ Soweto campus brought for the property values around the campus, the TVET colleges can now bring for wherever they find themselves and the properties around those areas. And as we stand here today, we are very early in this process. We are a year into this process, and a year for specific areas is not even across South Africa yet. So just some stats on that. TVET colleges are mainly in CBDs, close to townships or within townships, and even in small towns like Klerksdorp would have one. All these little towns might have a TVET college close to them. There is limited to almost no accommodation providers playing in this space in some parts, especially in the township parts. CBDs, because of the universities and them setting up student accommodation shops around there, you might find some competition, but it's very early days for all of us. We can all attest. I mean, if you now try and buy next to your university, it's expensive. I think it's expensive for most of us on this call to buy next to university, because they price in the fact that they are next to the university and that student accommodation is either already set up in that specific house or in the area itself. So it makes it very expensive to buy there. Providing formal accommodation in this space in township areas is almost non-existent. That's my finding at this stage. I think most of you, once you start exploring other areas, I'm specifically talking about PE at this stage, you won't find formal accommodation next to TVET colleges. Property prices then, obviously, is not as inflated as universities because we are new. It's new in the space. People's going to start buying these things up as soon as they start seeing the opportunity. The barriers to entry is very low in these areas because what you'll find is typical houses or old broken houses with a lot less of formal restrictions. But that being said, there's opportunity, and the opportunities are huge. But obviously, with every opportunity, there's always risk. And normally, if the opportunity is huge, the risk is also quite big. So I'm gonna spend a couple of minutes on NSFAS, and it would be strange. In my previous slide, it said NSFAS is formalizing, NSFAS is bringing this, NSFAS is creating the opportunity. But I list NSFAS as my number one risk and my biggest risk. So my experience this year with NSFAS and TVET colleges is that the communication between NSFAS, the TVET college, is new when it comes to accommodation. And when I say new, I mean really new. NSFAS itself is not built correctly at this stage. Their infrastructures are poor. They are trying to do a correct thing, but they don't have the foundation, I think, to run the pilot programs as we see it. Now, they've taken on a couple, and the issues we have experienced up to now is massive. So you can just imagine once they start rolling out in other provinces, if they are not built to do the little that they do now, and the train is moving, and it's going to be difficult for them to stop the train, even though I believe that the best thing they should do is give the pilot that they currently running another year, fix all their mistakes before going into other provinces. I think that horse has left the stable. They are going to continue doing this. So the biggest risk I've had with NSFAS this year is that we are now in the second last month of the year. I have just over 200,000 Rand outstanding from NSFAS for students which they have vetted, they've checked, but they've just simply not paid. You can phone the officers. Good luck if somebody answers you. They've been all around South Africa making all sorts of promises as to when they're going to pay us. Unfortunately, they pay in drips and drabs. They've also committed that if your student has been vetted, you should receive your money every month. It's like they throw all the kids' names in a hat, and if you're lucky, they draw your name this month, and then next month they catch up with 2 payments, or they just don't pay anything and then pay 4 months. So it's extremely difficult to run your cash flow for this period. And for me, other than the cash flow, which I planned for, I knew that we're going into something new, and that there would be bumps in the road and huge potholes. So I planned for the cash flows. What I didn't plan for is the vetting process that they follow. So you have students that apply for residence in January or any of the year. They have a status at NSFAS saying that funding eligible, which means that they've been approved or they've been pre-approved. They now just need to go and register at some institution. Then the institution in itself takes 2 or 3 months to give confirmation of that registration. Meanwhile, this child is living in your house. It's March, April already. You have no formal confirmation that she is now fully funded by NSFAS, and you get to a point where they get to month 5, 6, and then they say the child is not funded. You've already had this child here for 6 months in your residence. So the opportunity is there. I think it's just going to get better and better and better. But school fees you are going to pay. You can bet on it that you are going to pay school fees. I run the risk of 2 students currently where they have not paid for the semester, and I don't think that I'm going to get the money. Kids are writing exam. I just don't feel that it's the right thing to do to kick them out now. We just continue to fight with NSFAS to see if we can get the situation resolved. So NSFAS, even though they are the creators of the opportunity, because it's so early days, because they are a government institution, they are the biggest risk to the strategy. Right. Some of the other risks that I've experienced this year is TVET colleges make use of a whole lot of smaller campuses. So where you normally have a university, which is one huge campus, they will have 3 or 4 smaller campuses in various areas, and you always run the risk that they might close that particular campus. And you can imagine if you just invested 2 or 3 years in, they decide to close that particular campus, move the children somewhere else, you have already invested. The TVET colleges, the structure within them, they are not built to handle accommodation challenges. That's been my experience with East Cape Midlands. There's liaison officers. The liaison officer phones me to ask me questions about how the pilot program works. That's how ill-equipped they are. I believe it will get better in time, but because we are so early, these are the challenges that we are facing. Then obviously one of the challenges I currently have is I bought in residential areas where student accommodation is not there. So the community doesn't like the fact that they're students, and students must behave. Yesterday, I issued 4 warning letters and 2 eviction notices to students that they're just not getting it. They just don't want to listen. They just continue to break rules. And then these things has wider effects, because if you're going to do an application for rezoning or get special consent to have students, your neighbors play a big role in that decision. So the wider implications of having students in a community can be detrimental. And then your local council. No matter what you do, I think the local council is a problem. But your local council has all these rules as to how many students you can have, and you have to apply for this and apply for that. But try doing it. Just try doing the right thing. You literally try and do the right thing. You get no support. You get sent from pillar to post. It is a nightmare thinking that you want to do the correct thing and no one is there to assist you. And then students boycotting this pilot. They're used to receiving the money themselves. They stayed in that shack, and now all the money is paid to you. There is the chance of them having an uprising again against this NSFAS pilot, because it's already part of their budgeting. Then the exit strategy, it's a big risk. If you purpose-built student accommodations next to these TVET colleges and they end up closing, or the campus ends up closing, what is your exit? What are you doing? You have to plan for this once you enter. So what is it that you think how you get yourself out here? So this is a normal residential community. If that's where you invest in, everyone is just a house, and the people living around you is families. And now you've built a purpose-built student accommodation. To sell that, I don't think anybody would just be interested in just buying because we are so early in the market. But it's very, very important that you plan your exit strategy, because a simple sale of the property might not be that easy anymore, given the changes that you might have brought to the property itself.
I apologize for disrupting this hot conversation, but I just wanted to make sure that I remind you of why we exist here at the TJ Tribe. My good friends, it is our mission here at the TJ Tribe to ensure that every modern family earns what we call alternative income using real estate. And if that is you've been wondering how you can start or how you can scale, I have a solution for you. The solution is simply visit our website. You'll see it coming through here, and the website is www.thetjtribe.com. and click on where it says book your discovery call. When you do that, actually, my friends, it does not cost you anything at all to book that slot. So no strings attached. Jump onto that website and either myself or one of my team members will be able to help you on your next steps. So don't be that family, ne? The one that is being left out in creating alternative income. Because from creating alternative income, that's when you can be able to create wealth a little bit later. And above that, that's when you can be able to create what we call legacy. So what are you waiting for? If you're not going to do it for yourself, I suggest that you do it for your family. You do it for the next generation. People that you might not be able to see, your relatives, that you might not be able to see today, but because of what you are building today, they'll be able to say, Grandpa so and so, he built this. So this is what I'm inviting you to say, we can help you. So what are you waiting for? Jump on our website and we will engage with you on the call. Let's go back to our video.
I just want to touch quickly on the pilot program. So I don't know if there's anyone on the call that is aware of the NSFAS pilot program. If not, study it. It is the best thing to happen to student accommodation in a very long time, even with all the challenges. So if you, in the past, I don't know how it works at other universities, but in the past, you have to apply to the university, or let me say in Nelson Mandela's program, you had to apply to the university, and the university then sends out their agents. You can only apply once a year. So if you bought a property in March, you fixed it in July, you're only eligible for accommodation next year. NSFAS, whenever you buy, whenever you are ready, you apply for accommodation and it's immediately done. But the best thing about the people who run PE's thing is their vision for student accommodation is that they ultimately want, they ultimately see it as Airbnb for student accommodation. So everything we do is online. You do your applications online, you get your reviews online, your students applies online, your lease agreements is signed online. Everything is online. Your payments, everything you do is online. I just want to see if I can log in here and I can just show you guys, give you guys an idea of how it looks. So some of you might not have come in contact with this yet. Like I said, the system works in Johannesburg, in the Eastern Cape, in the Western Cape. So this is your typical profile that you would create for yourself. You would there add a property, and then you have to go through various steps to add a property. Let's just look at that last property quickly. So here's the system. You add your property. You have to upload all sorts of things, how your rooms look like. There's photos of all these rooms here. But as you can see, you even allocate wherever your student stays, in which room they can possibly stay. So there, room 2 has 3, which is active. I don't know why room 1 has 4. I'm not sure what's happening there. But your photos is uploaded. You upload all your photos, all the documents you have to upload. It's there. So you can see where this is going. I don't know if any one of you dealt with the universities and that before. This is 3 steps ahead of them in every way. I don't know how Poch works, but in terms of NMU, everything is a paper trail. Everything is done by paper. So even though NSFAS has all their challenges, I believe it's going in the correct direction. I believe that even though I'm paying school fees this year, you can see the returns that I'm generating. We are so early in this process. There's 50 of these places all around. I'm currently looking at Johannesburg as an option. So do yourself a favor, Google TVET colleges, look at the areas next to them. The opportunities are all over the place.
I honestly think that this is an early, what did you call it again? The sleeping opportunity.
Sleeping opportunity.
Yeah, I'm of the view that it's a sleeping opportunity. It does come with complex though, and Grant has covered most of them here. But the reality is that properties in and around TVETs, you are going to find them very, very affordable. Well, I am sure that you've been writing so many notes on this one. And I'm sure you probably have pages and pages of just the learnings that we got in today's video. So well done in learning with us. And my friends, this is just the start. We have more learnings to help you on your journey of building alternative income. And my team and I, we want to help you, but we cannot help you if we don't know who you are, where you are on your journey, right? So help me so that I can be able to help you. By doing that, all you need to do is just jump onto our website. You'll see it comes up here, www.thetjtribe.com. And all you need to do is to click on the link that says Discovery Call, book my slot for Discovery Call. And we will guide you on the next steps of how best you can be able to learn more. What you learned today is probably maybe about maybe like a fraction of what we teach here at the TJ Tribe. So let me help you, but I can't help you if I don't know who you are. And I can't help you if I don't know where you are in your journey. I am eager to help you to make this year, or to rather guide you so that this year can become your best year ever in real estate. But above that, thanks for watching. And if you have to send this to someone else, please do that. Don't forget to share. And if you have commented, hey, we will check you out in the comments again. But don't forget to book that call. It is essential for your generation. It is essential for you creating an alternative income. And we want to help you. It is I, TJ.